I just believe in the process, and we're going to win going through the process.
Now, Bills Mafia, it's time for the main event. So sit back and enjoy the show.
Bills Mafia, welcome to the Red, White and Buffalo Blues, a UK Bills podcast, Bills news with a UK twist. Matt and Alex here. Thanksgiving coming up Thursday, Bills Saints. I see you had a bottle of tequila there, Alex. Really is not, it's too early for that, Alex. You may just want just a nice cup of Rosie Lee instead. But Alex, how you doing, my friend?
Matt, I'm broken.
You're broken.
I'm broken. Stats are liars.
Where's Jim? Jim will fix it. Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
What?
People get that reference. In the UK, people get that reference of Jim will fix it.
Yeah, I don't get that reference. Looking at the Saints game, everything says that we should win. Everything said that we should beat Jacksonville. Everything said that we should beat the Colts. But this new struggle that we're all having as Bills fans, I understand it's difficult, and it's because we haven't been able to experience this success before. And last year, we were remarkably lucky and consistent. And this year, we are undisciplined, a little unlucky, and very inconsistent, but we're still a top 15 team in the league on offense and a top 5 team on defense. And that's adjusted for strength of schedule on Football Outsiders DVOA stats. So it's not that bad. It's just like, we're not robots, right? Like, Matt, you don't wake up and do the same thing every single day,
Get up, go downstairs, make a cup of tea, sit in front of the TV, wait till about 9:30, have a shower, then go to work. Yeah, I do that every day.
Is your tea perfect every single day?
Yes.
Sometimes it's too. Sometimes it's too. You leave the bag in too long. Sometimes not long enough. Sometimes too much milk. Sometimes too much sugar. Right?
My tea's perfect.
Oh, shut up! You're ruining my point. The whole point is that human error needs to be understood and accepted as to why the Bills are where they are right now. And so many people are like, oh yeah, we should go 14-3 this year. Every year we should go 14-3. That doesn't happen. Last year at this time, the Chiefs went 1-3. Earlier this season, the Chiefs went on a 1-3 run. They're fine. I think we're going to be fine. The talent is on this team. And earlier today, I asked you this question, and it's time to talk about it. What's different between last year and this year? It's nearly the same roster. What's different?
I think it's the opposition. I think it's the opposition's game planning now.
Yeah.
They've seen what Allen can do. They've seen what this offense can give them, and they know that we've not been great against the run, and we proved it a fair few times this year where we barely got a single runner over any of our running backs over 500 yards this season.
We're not that kind of team,
But the opposition defenses are able now to game plan and suffocate this. If we can mix it up and actually get a round game going, then we can see something different in there. I think that's the main difference, because as you say, you've got pretty much the same offense, bar Emmanuel Sanders for John Brown. You got pretty much the same O-line. Obviously, we've had injuries on there, but I think it's just the game plan and our inability again to run the ball, making us a little bit more one-dimensional than everyone thinks. They shut that down. We struggle.
I would like to respectfully disagree with the whole teams have had a time to figure us out. Teams have had time to game plan for us. Last year, we were chucking the ball all year. After the bye week, 34 points on San Francisco, 48 on Denver, 38 on the Patriots, 56 on Miami. You have 10 games of Josh Allen in this offense dominating. We put up 30 on Arizona, 44 on Seattle, 30 on the Raiders, 35 on the Rams. Teams had 10 weeks to figure us out, and they couldn't. What's different this year?
So what do you put it down to then? Because
it's luck.
Steelers have kept us low. The Chiefs kept us low. The Titans kept us low. Jacksonville kept us low. Indianapolis, the Colts have kept us low on offense.
We put up 38 on the Chiefs.
We put
31 on the Titans.
Hold on. I was hooking then. Steelers, Jacksonville, and Colts.
I don't count the Steelers game because I'll never count week 1. I will never, ever count week 1. We've had...
So, okay, put it this way.
We've had two bad offensive weeks, and that was Jacksonville and this week against the Colts.
So put it that way. How the hell did Jacksonville keep us to 6 points, suffocate Allen, and then we put 38 points on the Super Bowl runners-up? Something has got to have happened. So there's got to be game playing. Well, game planning.
This is the thing that I'm trying to get through to everyone that I talk to about this, and in terms of understanding what's going on with the Bills. It's inconsistency and it's a little bit of unluckiness. Wide receiver drops are up compared to last year, but Allen is still hitting a good completion percentage over 10 yards, a great completion percentage over 20 yards. The too high safety thing, that's been debunked. He's only one of his interceptions have come against that. The majority have become when he's squeezing the ball in. A little bit of it has to really do with his decision making. One of the worst things I heard Allen say this offseason was, to get better, I have to come off my first read faster. I think that has had a negative effect on him. Last year, the targets were slightly up to Stephon Diggs, and I think that kind of just has to happen again. Just obviously not staring him down because he got picked off on that Gabe Davis throw because he was staring down Gabe Davis, but it's a regression to the mean in the sense that what we did last year was so unbelievably good. It was going to be improbable to do it every single week this year. So like last year, 4-1 in 1-score games. This year, 0-3. We're bad on fourth down. You have a stat on that.
We're 3 for 10 on fourth downs. And the league average is 51.3%.
Yeah.
Obviously,
there's just been a complacency. I can't say complacency because it's impossible to know that. I'm never going to make an assumption because there's no way for us to know. We're not in the locker room.
Last year we were 8 and 10 on fourth downs.
Yeah, we were great on it. And man, those 2 field goals against the Colts, that was bad. And that's part of it. I think that it comes down to what plays are getting called, and it comes down to Allen's decision making, and they're just not as elite as they were last year, but they're still playoff worthy. If anybody out there is saying that we're not going to make the playoffs, you're overreacting, and because you overreacted to how great last year felt.
So you're telling me that, okay, so with the one difference between last year and this year, you may probably agree or not with it. And obviously it shows by the amount of interceptions that Josh has actually thrown, especially in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
On there, do you think he's forcing it too much? You said about the reads, saying get off the reads quickly. Do you think he's trying to force it, especially when we've been behind, to play catch up? Hence given that? Do you think he should just try and not force it and just play tactical, shall we say?
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the coaching, but you don't want to take away your best player's natural instinct when it's a successful instinct. So Allen looking down the field, making those high risk throws, his completion percentage on those types of passes is only down 1 or 2 percentile points from last year. The decision making comes in his a little bit of the accuracy on those. That's where the interceptions come in. I think there was a stat last year that we made fun of, but now it's kicking us in the ass. It was interceptable passes. Passes that were complete or or incomplete, but were deemed to be interceptable. Allen had a really high number.
Or completed that was an interception.
Yeah.
To our own player.
Really high number last year in that stat. And we were like, that's not a stat. But this is another thing. This is more of a last year was there. This year is here because this always happens. And that's centering out, coming to the mean, playing in average. Look at what Mahomes did. Mahomes had a rough stretch. Every quarterback has a rough stretch. Allen is Allen's had one season of greatness. This is a big litmus test coming up of will he get over it and get back to playing great? But it needs to be understood by Bills Mafia that this happens to everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's going to get if it gets adjusted or corrected, will determine if we're an elite team or not. Now is the big, now is the time where we find out who we really are.
All right, quick question. Obviously, when we go into the Saints preview, we may or may not be without Spencer Brown, depending on how he tests. I think his 10 days is going to be up tomorrow, Wednesday on there. You had a stat on there. Is this offensive line really one of the reasons? Because I know you had a stat. You're telling me a stat beforehand on the offensive line. Is it the fact that even though we've lost Brown, we lost Feliciano, we've had to plug Ford, Williams, Bates, Botker, and so on at different spots along that line? Is that really helping or hindering?
The offensive line feels bad because they make a bonehead play once or twice a game. Maybe 3-4 times a game. Instead of just a fundamental mistake. The Bills are still a top 10 team in pass block win rate. That's tough to say.
Pass block win rate.
It's a measurement of how often protection holds up for at least 2.5 seconds. We are at 33.3% this year. Last year was 36.5%.
Yeah, I mean,
Allen is taking a sacks at lower rate. 3.8 sack percentage this year, 4.3 last year.
I mean, what was it? We're giving up what?
We're bottom 5 in sacks allowed. We're top 5 in sacks allowed. It's not all the offensive line in terms of pass blocking. Now, run blocking, that's a completely different thing. And that just comes down to the fundamental truth that Zach Moss must clearly have incriminating evidence on Sean McDermott and Brian Daboll to keep getting fucking playing time. Zach Moss is done. It's over. It's Breida and it's Singletary. They have vision. They can cut. Moss just runs into the fat guys and falls down. It's just not working. But yeah, it's not as bad as it feels like. And that's really important that everyone understands that, because I mean, hang on a second.
So I say it's too early to drink.
Twitter is a son of a bitch, and it makes everybody angry and feel worse than it is. So that's why I'm getting worked up here. But yeah, things are just not as bad as it seems, unless they don't fix it.
Insert the what was it? What cartoon is it from? Dog with a fire around with the drink saying,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything is fine. Um, Good teams fix it
I
before
think
before it becomes an identity. And
hmm,
Allen said in his post game presser, like this wasn't who we are. Well, you got to prove it. You can't just say that. You have to
yeah,
now go 3-1, 4-1, 5-1 down the stretch. You have to finish unbelievably strong to prove that this isn't who you are. And all of the analytic metrics show that they should.
yeah. I think we've got games which are winnable. We've got games that are going to keep us involved in it.
Jacksonville was supposed to be super winnable. In the Colts game, we should have played them a lot closer. And we did. If it wasn't for the McKenzie fumble, there's a high probability that we at least get 3 points and it's 17-10 or 17-14 at halftime and we get the ball.
Yeah.
But unlucky. It just happens. It depends on if you want to call fumbling unlucky. Marquez Stevenson could be coming back, and we could see what happens with McKenzie on kick return and punt returns there. But do you counteract his fumbling for how talented he is? I mean, he's top 5 in yards per kickoff and punt return.
Yeah, he's still a, what they used to say years ago when they actually listed someone an OW, an offensive weapon. They used
Yeah.
that for Tavon Austin,
Yeah.
didn't they? OW.
Yeah.
He is still a chess piece, let's put it that way. I mean, looking ahead to the Saints game, I mean, Edmonds is in full practice, so it's more likely that he's going to be back on there. Star, we still don't know. McDermott's not giving anything away. He's still on the COVID list. Maybe he is going to miss it. Maybe not. Obviously, I believe he's unvaccinated. We've come out and said he's unvaccinated. And he had like a heart condition in 2013 or something like that, which obviously plays on his mind a bit. But I think looking ahead, is there really anything offensively, Saints wise, that we're really it's going to really trouble this number one overall defense? And I'm surprised about that. We've slipped a bit in the rush defense side, but is there anything Saints offense wise that's gonna scare us? Because I think Kamara is questionable to / out in that game.
They have a top 10 pass defense.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the only thing that worries me about the Saints. But we've seen Allen be able to do it against teams like that. Look, Allen on turf, Allen down south, he's fire. So I think this is, coming out of a loss like this, McDermott usually gets these guys ready. It's all about building and being consistent on it. And I'm not worried because it's still with the extra game, it's still the middle of the season. The middle of the season is now over technically. I mean, to me, it now starts the who you are part of the schedule. Not in terms of our opponents, but just what you do well, what you don't do well, what you have to change. Defenses against you know what to do. Offenses against you know what to do. Look, our biggest success last year was running up the score on teams in getting away from having to play run defense.
Yeah.
The Colts got turnovers and were able to attack us at our weakest point, and the offense just wasn't clicking. Games like that happen. When we're on, and this is fully capable of happening, we keep teams on their heels. We make them push and press and get away from their strengths. If we force the Saints to throw the ball all game, we're easily going to win. The strength on our team is our pass defense. And if we can force the ball into Hyde, Poyer, Trey White, Levi Wallace, if we could force the ball to those guys, we're going to very easily win. And it just all comes down to Allen being consistent and Daboll knowing how to create a running game.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, looking at this,
it's also weird because we just played like, a minute ago. So that's going to be crazy. It's Thursday games suck.
If you're looking then, the last heavy defeat we had, we haven't won 2 in a row, really, have we? Or lost 2 in a row from it. So when we played the Titans, we came back and we just about beat the Dolphins. Then when we played
26-11,
Jags,
I mean, we held them to 11 and lost the Jags. Yep. Then blew out the Jets, then got annihilated by the Colts. So if that's the way the schedule is going, then we should handily beat the Saints.
Yeah. And I mean, look, the 10th overall defense, the Saints, so they're third in the rush with only allowing 98.8 yards per game, obviously giving up 9 touchdowns. They're 20th pass defense, allowing 252.2 yards per game, giving up 13 touchdowns. 10th scoring D, so they'll score or limit the opponent to 21.8 points per game, and they allow they're on the 23 sacks allowed, which is ranked 17th. What's that? So
they've only had like 3 positive offensive games all year. Week 1 against the Packers, the win that they had against Tampa Bay, and the last game they played against the Titans, where their defense lost them the game. And so did the refs. I mean, there's just so many weird things that have happened this year that just really have made me not just rely on the stats. And I got to say, this game is either going to make or break me for the rest of the year. This is the last possible gut check game you could possibly have because it's the 3rd one this season. Figure out who you are. People ask them in the post game and they're like, what's your identity on offense? And it's clearly Allen throwing to Diggs. Beasley been injured or maybe lost a step. Sanders was hot at the beginning of the year, lost a step. We need more Gabe Davis. We need more runs to the outside. We know what we have to do. Dawson Knox has been great. We know what we have to do. And if they do it this week, and if they do it the week after, then we're going to, I believe, forget about the Colts game. Quick question, though, for you. Because I know that you were very angry at the Jags game. Let's just play a little bit what if.
Okay.
If we beat the Jags, are we sky is falling after the Colts loss? Or is it because of or is it also because of the Jags game?
I think it was the way. I think it was the way we actually lost to the Jags, which then ended up similarly how we lost to the Colts. So I think if we had beaten the Jags and then lost to the Colts, I would say the sky's not falling down.
Like a fluke
we just put it to a good Colts team on the day. But the nature of that loss to Jacksonville and to an extent to Tennessee I think that when you come into how the Colts just came in and just dismantled us at home,
Yeah.
really then puts it in your mind that something is actually going wrong and something needs to be done ASAP to actually to resurrect it.
Yeah. And look, the Chiefs did it. The
Yeah.
Chiefs figured it out. You know, they won a nail biter against the Cowboys, but before that, they threw up a 50 spot. So if this is a game where it's a close win, I'm going to say those games, those games happen. Win no matter what now. It's not about being pretty. It's about just winning. I'd like to see fourth quarter Allen, come back.
Yeah. I think everyone does.
I mean, he didn't have an opportunity against the Colts, honestly, but I mean, it's just, it just comes down to him being consistent. And I think it's been a narrative that we've talked about. I want some more.
He's on the ticket.
So hard on himself. Is he giving himself an opportunity to get over these games and move on? I mean, if you want to say, is he pressing?
I have a feeling maybe because of these losses and all that, he's trying to force it more.
Yeah.
To actually get those into to actually to rectify it. I think if he just lets it play out and doesn't force it, I think some of these interceptions, some of these incomplete passes or near interceptions wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch Ted Lasso, one of the great lines is be a goldfish. Have a short memory.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Let it go. And let that needs to happen. I mean, here we go for us at least. What 1:30 kickoff? Whew.
So quickly before we get game prediction, what's your key to the game? Is it, as you say, consistency, or is there something else that really is a key to this game on Thursday night?
It's be who you are. Don't try to do something that you're not good at. So we've created a recipe for Josh Allen to be successful.
Yeah.
Be confident in that. You have to have confidence. This is unfortunate because the way Allen plays is so, risk reward. You can't do it without confidence.
Yeah.
You have to trust your receivers. You have to trust yourself to make the plays. And if Allen is too much in his own head, if Dable is like, all right, well, let's do this differently, it's not going to work. Be who you are. And don't play Zach Moss.
My key to the game is get Breeder involved more.
I like it.
I think that is the way to go. I mean, yeah, you saw he pulled out two 15+ runs against the Colts on there, and he can catch out the backfield. The last two games, he's been out of a bad team, especially in the Colts game. He was a little bit of a shining star.
Yeah, I mean, on super minimal touches, he has close to 120 yards in the last two games on third in the rotation touches. So absolutely.
So my key is to get Breeder involved more. Obviously, try and dispel Moss. I wouldn't inactivate him. I'd just stick him to the bottom, give him the odd goal line, red zone type.
It depends on who's coming back. If Feliciano's coming back, if Spencer Brown comes back, if Starr comes back, then I think Moss is the first guy out.
I think someone posted on there that Feliciano will be out for this week.
Yeah, we're recording this a little early, but
Cole Beasley ribs were practicing a red non-contact. Feliciano calf that no one saw in practice during the open portion. Gleeshard are not practicing today. Edmonds full and Cole Beasley full participants.
Yeah. I mean, the Colts don't run all over us if we don't turn the ball over. I mean, we all make fun of people's keys to the game, win the turnover battle. No shit. But sometimes football is, for as much as people want to talk about football as a chess match, it's also very rudimentary. Just don't turn the ball over and you're going to win the game. We control the game. We keep the Colts having to pass, and they were horrible at it, if we have a little bit of offensive success. And it just didn't happen. But we move on from it. I'm going to be a goldfish. I'm going to forget about this Colts loss, and I hope everybody else will too.
So what's your prediction then before we go?
26-13 Bills.
26-13. Okay. I still think, do I temper my expectations or do I still go out on high like I do every week? We risk it. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go for it. Fuck it. 34-17.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to remind to everyone that obviously the Fitzrover Bell won't be showing the game this week because it is on at 1:30 in the morning on there. So obviously it's on Sky, and obviously only on your game. No, not on Game Pass. So on Sky, stream it wherever you do it. Obviously, keep following us at UK_Bills on Twitter, at RWBB_podcast on Twitter, Buffalo Bills UK on Facebook, YouTube, at UK or UK_Bills on Instagram. Like, share, follow, spread the word of mouth. Talk to any undecided NFL fans and get them on board, and just let's grow. So if you've got anything else to add before we sign off?
I need to go take my turkey out of the freezer.
And on that note is good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for listening. I hope Alex doesn't get too drunk on tequila whilst getting the turkey out, because we know what haven't been friends with the turkey on the head. And for Alex, Matt, it's let's go Buffalo Bills.
Go Bills.